If I refuse, what happens to me? She thought, her mind racing. She had heard stories about men like Odogwu. Bambam had always known what she wanted in life: luxury, wealth, and nothing less. From a young age, she admired the rich men who drove past in their sleek black SUVs, the ones who smelled of power and money. She paid little attention to anyone who couldn't afford the kind of life she dreamed of. It wasn't just about being rich, she wanted a man whose wealth spoke before he even uttered a word. To her, love without luxury was suffering, and she wasn't about to suffer for anyone. She was very ambitious and obsessed with luxury lifestyle. She walked with confidence, knowing she was beautiful enough to attract the kind of men she wanted. And attract them, she did. From politicians to businessmen, even married men who wanted a taste of something young and fresh. But none of them had the power and dominance she craved. That was until she met Lateef Kuti, the man everyone called Odogwu. Odogwu was a name that commanded respect and fear. He was filthy rich, but unlike the others, he was dangerous, something many didn't know. He wasn't just a businessman, he controlled things behind the scenes. When he walked into a room, silence followed. His presence was heavy, intoxicating, and his wealth wasn't just old money, it was power. When Bambam first saw him at a private event in Lagos, she felt something she had never felt before. Not just admiration, but an overwhelming desire. He wasn't like the others who flaunted their riches. He had a quiet dominance, an aura that screamed, "I own everything I touch." Odogwu noticed her too. He always noticed women like Bambam, the ones who wanted luxury, the ones who thought they could handle him. He played with them like toys, and when he was done, he discarded them without a second thought. But Bambam didn't know that yet. Bambam made the first move. She wasn't shy. She knew what she wanted, and she always got it. "Mr. Odogwu," she said, flashing him her most alluring smile. "I've heard so much about you." Odogwu smirked. He leaned in slightly, his deep voice sending shivers down her spine. "Good things, I hope." "Only the best," she replied, placing her hand lightly on his arm. Odogwu studied her. He could see through women like her. Ambitious, beautiful, materialistic. She wanted him for his wealth, just like all the others. But what she didn't know was that wanting Odogwu came with a price. "You like expensive things, don't you?" he asked, his gaze locking onto hers. "I love them," she admitted without hesitation. "Then you should come with me," he whispered. And just like that, Bambam stepped into a world she had no idea how to escape from. Odogwu didn't just spoil Bambam, he drowned her in wealth. Private jets, luxury vacations, designer clothes, and diamond jewelry worth millions. She felt like a queen beside him, but something wasn't right. The way his men looked at him, with fear, not just respect. The way he spoke in hushed tones over the phone, issuing commands that made people disappear. The way money moved around him, untraceable, limitless, but with a shadow of danger. One night, after an extravagant dinner, Bambam asked, "Odogwu, what do you really do?" Odogwu smiled, but his eyes were cold. "I do business, Bambam, and I'm business." She didn't ask any more questions. She knew these questions should have come in earlier before now, but her ambitiousness never allowed her brain to work with her mind. But one night something happened. Bambam was at Odogwu's mansion when she heard shouting and gunshots. Fear gripped her. She rushed downstairs and saw men, armed men, dragging a man outside. Odogwu stood in the center, watching. "Lateef, what's going on?" Bambam asked, her voice shaking. Odogwu turned to her, his expression unreadable. "You wanted luxury, didn't you? This is what luxury looks like." She realized then, his wealth wasn't clean. It was built on blood, secrets, and power. And now, she was a part of it, yet she was still confused on what particularly he does. She wanted to leave, but Odogwu wasn't the kind of man you walked away from. Once you entered his world, there was no escape. Bambam had finally gotten the life she wanted. But at what cost? Will she walk away leaving her dreamed lifestyle behind? And was she willing to pay the price? Bambam had always dreamed of a fairytale proposal, but when Odogwu finally asked the question, it felt more like a command than a request. It happened on a quiet evening in his mansion, the air thick with tension. Bambam was seated in the grand living room, staring at the flames in the fireplace when Odogwu walked in. Without warning, he pulled out a black velvet box, opened it, and revealed a massive diamond ring, one that could blind an entire city. "Marry me," he said. No romantic speech, no soft gestures, just those two words. Bambam's heart pounded. She had everything she ever wanted: money, luxury, power, but was she ready to belong to a man like Odogwu forever? She swallowed hard, her fingers trembling as she took the ring. "Yes," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Odogwu smiled, but there was something in his eyes, a glint of possession, not love. The wedding was set in motion immediately. Odogwu spared no expense. It was the most extravagant wedding ever witnessed in their community. Private security, luxury cars, international guests, everything reeked of untouchable power. But it wasn't just the world that had tongues wagging. It was the way Odogwu and his men dressed, black and red, like a secret court gathering instead of a wedding. Rumors spread like wildfire. This is not just any wedding. Something dark is happening. Why do they look like warriors going to battle? Bambam is in danger. She doesn't know who she's marrying. Even the elders whispered among themselves, uneasy about the entire event. But that didn't stop them from eating plates after plates and drinking countless times. But Bambam ignored the signs. She smiled, danced, and wore her expensive dress like a trophy. This was her dream. Until that night. The celebration was still ongoing when Odogwu led Bambam away. Deep inside his mansion, past halls she had never been allowed to enter, he took her to a room filled with candles and strange markings on the walls. Sit, he instructed. Bambam hesitated. Something was wrong. Odogwu took out a golden dagger, sliced his palm, and let the blood drip into a bowl of red liquid. Then, he turned to her. For you to truly be my wife, you must take the oath, he said. Bambam's breath caught in her throat. What kind of oath? Odogwu's voice was calm but firm. One that binds us together, forever. Her hands trembled. This wasn't love. This was something else. Something dark. Drink, he commanded, pushing the bowl toward her. Bambam stared at the liquid, her heart pounding against her ribs. She had chased wealth and power all her life, but now she wasn't sure if she had run straight into a nightmare. She had a choice, drink and become one of them, or refuse and risk whatever fate Odogwu had in store for those who disobeyed him. Bambam's hands shook as she lifted the bowl. The dark red liquid swirled inside, thick and unnatural. Every instinct in her body screamed at her to stop, to run, but Odogwu's eyes were locked on her, cold, expectant. If I refuse, what happens to me? She thought, her mind racing. She had heard stories about men like Odogwu. Men whose wealth was built on blood and mystery. Men who never forgave betrayal. Slowly, she brought the bowl to her lips. The moment the liquid touched her tongue, a sharp pain shot through her stomach like fire. Her body stiffened, her vision blurred, and for a moment, she felt as though something or someone was entering her. Her entire womb burned. Odogwu stepped closer, placing his hands on her shoulders. His voice was low, almost gentle. It is done, he whispered. Bambam gasped for air, dropping the empty bowl. The room spun around her. What did I just drink? She stammered. Odogwu smiled. Not his usual smirk. A knowing, satisfied smile. You are mine now, Bambam, completely. And then he walked away, leaving her in the dimly lit room, bound to a fate she could no longer escape. Days passed, but Bambam felt different. At first, it was subtle. A strange warmth in her lower belly. A whisper in the back of her mind that wasn't her own. But soon, the dreams began. She would wake up in the middle of the night, her body drenched in sweat, her hands clutching her stomach. In her dreams, she saw shadows moving inside her, whispering, laughing. She saw children with hollow eyes and voices that echoed in the dark. Then came the pain. One night, she woke up screaming, clutching her belly. Odogwu, calm as ever, sat beside her on the bed. He didn't panic. He didn't ask what was wrong. He simply placed a hand on her stomach. And just like that, the pain stopped. Bambam's breath hitched. What did you do to me? Odogwu leaned in, brushing his lips against her ear. I didn't just marry you, Bambam. I claimed you. Your womb belongs to me now. You're still breathing because I love you. A chill ran down her spine. To you, she whispered. Odogwu didn't answer. He simply kissed her forehead and left the room. But deep inside, Bambam already knew. She was no longer in control of her own body. Months passed, and soon, Bambam realized something terrifying. She was pregnant. But this pregnancy was different. She felt the baby moving too early, as if it wasn't just a child but something alive in ways she couldn't understand. Every time she looked at her belly, she felt watched. Whispers followed her in the mansion. The maids wouldn't meet her eyes. The guards treated her with a new kind of respect, or was it fear? Then, one night, she heard it. A voice. Not in her head, not in a dream. A voice from inside her. We are here. Bambam screamed, clutching her belly as the movement inside her became unnatural, violent. She stumbled to Odogwu's office, tears streaming down her face. I can't do this, she cried. I don't know what's growing inside me, but it's not normal. Odogwu, sitting behind his desk, barely looked up. You drank the blood, Bambam. You sealed your fate. She shook her head. No, I didn't know what I was doing. Odogwu finally stood, walking towards her. He placed a hand on her swollen belly, and the movement inside immediately stopped. But his grip on her waist tightened. His voice dropped to a whisper. You will carry them. And when the time comes, you will give them to me. Bambam's heart pounded. Give who to you? Odogwu smiled. The sons of the coven. And in that moment, Bambam realized she hadn't married a man. She had married a monster. And she was now the mother of something she couldn't even begin to understand. With tears in her eyes she asked, how long will I carry this pregnancy? Odogwu said, just for a couple of months or maybe a year or two. Bambam in shock, quickly responded in fear. A year or two? Bambam left his office and went home. She couldn't stop crying. Reaching home she rushed to Odogwu's secrecy room, broke the key and went inside, broke the mirrors, broke anything breakable she saw there. She scattered the whole stuffs in that room. Odogwu was notified. Immediately he asked his guards never to let her out of the compound. Unfortunate for him she already left, so he asked the guards to follow the car tracker. For days she was nowhere to be found. The guards on the other hand refused to go back home without her, because they all knew exactly what will happen if they eventually get home without her, so they kept on searching. Bambam had run into an old woman named Nana Kofi, who saw exactly what she's going through without her even telling her what was happening. Your husband did this to you? The old woman asked. Bambam, very weak and tired, nodded, yes. What do you want? Do you want to get rid of this? Nana asked. Tears all over Bambam's face. Yes, ma, please help me, I'm dying. The old woman quickly rushed to her backyard and cut some herbs, pound and mixed them into liquid for her to drink. She felt weak as if she was dying, but Nana kept rubbing her head and said, drink so you could feel better. Drink so you will be free. Bambam took the mixed herbs and drank it. Immediately it was as if something hit her from her head. She noticed every steps as the herbs walked down from her throat down her tummy. She dozed off instantly. Nana couldn't take her eyes off her belly. She whispered, people are very wicked. Few hours later, there was blood all over the place. She was bleeding, blood upon blood. To extend Nana Kofi was scared whether she can survive it. Wasn't too long Odogwu's bodyguard surfaced. They had tracked the car down there. They surrounded the house, grabbed Nana Kofi, and also carried Bambam's lifeless body. Yes, she was lifeless cause she had lost a lot of blood. Odogwu lying lifeless on the floor, at his sitting room. Why? Because these creatures from the coven was tied to his life, and was covenanted with his blood. These creatures was supposed to prolong his life on earth, for providing a body, a vessel that would begot them. And for reasons he doesn't know, Bambam had terminated them all. He was traumatized. Then the deep voice from the coven came calling. Latif Kuti, you have disobeyed the fifth law that governs this supremacy. You killed the potential sons of the coven. For these reasons you can only survive by drinking blood, not just any blood, but the blood which comes out of your wife's womb. You must drink and lick it twice a day, she must not bath, and you must not for anything reason let her stop bleeding. The day you loses her, you will die a terrible and miserable death. The next morning he already started executing the assignment he was given just to stay alive. Nana Kofi, who was in the next door cell, was worried about Bambam. They doesn't seem to see each other, only hear each other's voices. Bambam, who hasn't taken her bath for days, was draining in infections. The old blood and dirt all over her body make her stink. Gradually it was becoming the taste of what the voice of the coven had asked Odogwu to make her look like. Bambam shouted, Nana, I'm dying. In a low and soft tone. Please don't say such, Nana Kofi said. Immediately she called the guards shouting, please help, she's dying. Already there was a chaos in front of the house. Luckily for them, one of the guards heard their voice and came to help. He opened the cage with his hands covering his nose. The smell was terrible. He then ran to Nana's cage, opened it and said, please come help me check what's wrong with her. He stood beside the cage when he heard a gunshot in front of the house. He then ran again to go know what was going on. Immediately Bambam said, Nana, the time is now. Her hands on Nana's shoulder. Follow me, she said. That evening Odogwu came back home, and saw everywhere so quiet, nobody was at home. They all ran away knowing what would befall them for letting Bambam escape. Odogwu on the other hand wasn't notified as usual, because he was just living by mercy and under condition that he won't let Bambam go. He then entered his secret room. Immediately he got blind. My eyes, he shouted, kneeling on the floor, please mercy on me, he cried. Give me one more chance, he begged. There was a tense sound and a laughing voice hovering around the house. You have reached the end. You will suffer. At some point you will wish for death. Immediately his body started decaying. Rats from nowhere surrounded him and started eating up his skin. Nana Kofi had taken Bambam to a safer place, where she was being treated and taken care of, before returning back to her family, who didn't even know she was still alive. Nobody dared to enter Odogwu's house again. For years, many people who walked past the house said the smell was still there. Bambam was free again. She paid the price for luxury, but her soul refused to stay sold. This time, I choose what becomes of me. Sometimes, the cost of your desires isn't money. It's you, and most times all that glitters isn't gold.